When Spider-Man No Way Home dropped in December 2021, it was a cultural event. Fans were buzzing, critics were raving, and Sony and Marvel were cashing in. The movie had everything: nostalgia, action, surprise cameos, and an emotional punch that hit hard. It united Spider-Man fans from 3 decades, making it feel like the ultimate superhero flick. A perfect blend of spectacle, fan service, and heart. But as the hype wore off, things started to shift. A few months after the film's release, something shifted. Fans who had once been over the moon started to become more critical. What was once seen as a triumph now started to feel a little off. Many began to pick the film apart, suggesting that No Way Home was more of a cheap, plot-hole-ridden nostalgia trip, a flashy, money-grabbing spectacle meant to get audiences to cheer for every cameo while completely ignoring deeper storytelling. The movie, for some, seemed to crumble under the weight of its own fan service. So, what gives? Was the initial excitement justified, or did we all just fall victim to the post-hype syndrome where we begin to critique a film too harshly after the buzz wears off? Honestly, it's complicated. Let me break down my personal experience with No Way Home and see if it helps clarify things. On my first viewing, I was absolutely overjoyed. I loved it. I thought it was a roller coaster ride from beginning to end. The stakes were high, the humor was mostly on point, and the nostalgia was so strong that it almost felt like a dream come true. Seeing Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man together was an event in itself. I was completely hooked. But as I rewatched it recently, something happened. A lot of the magic I initially felt started to fade. On my second and third viewings, I began to notice that No Way Home didn't hold up quite as well as I had originally thought. The first half, in particular, began to feel more like a rushed spectacle than a solid narrative. And here's why. Fan service. The first time you watch a movie filled with cameos and fan service, it's easy to get swept up in the excitement. Seeing Doc Ock, Green Goblin, and the other villains from past Spider-Man films makes for a nostalgic rush of pure joy. Then, of course, there's the big moment when Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man make their triumphant return. It's hard not to cheer, even if you're sitting alone in your living room. It's every fan's dream, and the novelty of it all keeps you engaged, even when the movie's stakes aren't that high. But here's the issue with fan service. It's great for the first few months, but the excitement fades once you know what's coming. That's what happened to me. After seeing those moments once, I wasn't caught off guard anymore, and on my second or third viewing, they didn't have the same impact. Even today, you will still love Iron Man and Thor Ragnarok on rewatch, but No Way Home, not as much, because it's mostly fan service with heavy plot holes. It's the same feeling I had during the Multiverse of Madness rewatch, but that might be a topic for another video. After a few viewings, the novelty of seeing the old villains and other Spider-Men started to lose its charm, and I began focusing more on the movie itself. The major issue here is that the film's plot changes according to the writer's convenience. The plot centers around Peter Parker dealing with the fallout of his identity being revealed to the world. To fix things, he goes to Doctor Strange for help, who casts a spell that will make everyone forget who Spider-Man is. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? But here's where things start to fall apart. Instead of discussing the details of the spell, Peter and Strange rush into it without thinking it through, especially Strange, who is an adult with experience in magic. Naturally, things go wrong, and the multiverse begins to collapse, bringing a bunch of villains from other universes into the fold. At its core, the plot is weak. The idea that a simple spell could cause the multiverse to unravel doesn't make much sense. It's not a logical setup, and it feels a bit forced, like the movie is rushing to get to the fun part without spending enough time on the details. But here's the catch. While the setup is weak, the fallout is undeniably exciting. The arrival of these villains, each with their own unique abilities and personalities, was a moment every Spider-Man fan had been waiting for. Watching these villains interact with each other and with Peter Parker was an absolute treat, leading to some of the most thrilling scenes in the movie. The nostalgia was overwhelming, creating a sense of wonder and awe that was hard to resist. However, even as characters from past universes were woven into the story, the plot seemed more focused on spectacle than on delivering a solid narrative. The movie bent logic to fuel its excitement, and while that might be acceptable for a superhero blockbuster, it sets a concerning precedent. Where the movie truly shines is in its emotional arc. The return of these villains isn't just fan service. It plays a crucial role in Tom Holland's Spider-Man's development. These villains aren't just antagonists. They represent Peter's failures, and their presence forces him to confront the weight of his responsibility. The film does an excellent job of pushing Peter to realize that being Spider-Man isn't just about saving the day. It's about protecting those he cares about. And the stakes have never been higher. Once we enter the second half of the movie, that's when things truly start to pack an emotional punch. Peter's grief after Aunt May's death is so raw and visceral that it hits like a ton of bricks. And by the way, this is one of the best shots of the entire film. It's a gut-wrenching moment for both Peter and the audience. This is the first time we see Peter at his lowest, and it makes his journey even more compelling. The emotional depth explored in the second half is something that's been noticeably absent from the earlier Tom Holland Spider-Man films. At last, we see Peter truly struggle with the weight of his actions, and it's heartbreaking. Even as the emotional stakes rise, the movie's continued reliance on nostalgia doesn't entirely fade away, something that's both a strength and a weakness. The return of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is undeniably thrilling at first, a moment that makes fans cheer with pure joy. However, as the movie progresses and you sit through these scenes a second or third time, you start to ask yourself, are these appearances really essential to the story? You can't help but wonder if they truly serve the narrative or if they're simply there for fan service. Are they integral to the plot, or are they just added to cash in on the nostalgia factor? In reality, it's a bit of both. However, there's one pivotal scene that takes No Way Home to a level beyond mere nostalgia. The rooftop scene, where the three Spider-Men share their personal stories and reflect on their losses, stands as one of the most memorable moments in the film.
My Uncle Ben was killed. It was my fault.
I lost Gwen. She was my MJ.
It's in this scene that the movie shifts from being just another crossover event into something far more impactful. Spider-Man has always been a character defined by tragedy, whether it's the loss of his uncle, his romantic heartbreaks, or the pain of his responsibilities. But this scene takes that idea to a deeper level, showcasing the shared grief that unites all versions of Spider-Man. Each one has faced their own heart-wrenching tragedy, and witnessing them bond over these painful experiences is profoundly moving. It's no longer just a fan-pleasing moment. It becomes a raw, emotional exploration of what it truly means to be Spider-Man. Both Tobey's and Andrew's Spider-Men are more seasoned and wiser than Tom's Spider-Man, offering him guidance through the knowledge and experience they've accumulated over time. It's almost like receiving advice from one's future self.
I got bitter. I just don't want you to end up like me.
The night Ben died, I hunted down the man who I thought did it. I wanted him dead. I got what I wanted. It didn't make it better.
She told me that with great power
Comes great responsibility.
What? How do you know that?
Uncle Ben said it.
The day he died.
Also, this movie doesn't focus solely on Holland's Spider-Man, which I absolutely loved. For Andrew's Spider-Man, the moment where he saves MJ is incredibly cathartic. It serves as a redemption arc that gives his character the closure he was denied in his own universe. As for Tobey, the opportunity to stop Tom Holland's Peter from killing the Green Goblin provides a full-circle moment. In his own universe, he failed to save Norman Osborn, and now he's given a second chance to prevent Tom from making the same heartbreaking mistake. These moments are incredibly satisfying because they showcase the growth of these characters over time. They've learned from their pasts, evolved, and now have the chance to help one another in ways that feel earned and deeply meaningful. But not everything in the second half works. The Statue of Liberty scene, for example, is a bit jarring. After all the emotional depth we've just witnessed, we cut to this lighter moment where the Spider-Men are cracking jokes and talking about their powers.
You make your own web fluid in your body.
Does it just come out of your wrists, or does it come out of anywhere else?
Ever had a web block? Because I run out of webs all the time.
You're amazing. Just to take it in for a minute.
It's fun, yes, but it doesn't quite fit the tone of the rest of the movie. It feels like a moment that's there for the sake of fan service, and it breaks the emotional flow of the film, but that's just how Marvel is. My major drawback? The spell's rules. They're simply adjusted to fit the plot's requirements and don't even think about questioning the logic. First, due to the disrupted spell, people from the multiverse start showing up, and a lot of cool stuff happens. But then, the final spell, while emotionally satisfying, becomes one of the more frustrating elements of the film. It's powerful, yes, but it doesn't really make sense. The fact that Doctor Strange can cast a spell that erases Peter Parker from everyone's memory feels like a narrative cop-out, letting the movie reset itself. It's emotionally impactful, but logically, it doesn't add up. It's a quick fix that solves the film's problems in a way that feels rushed and unsatisfying. The makers are like, we've shown you 3 Spider-Men fighting their villains in a single movie. Just enjoy it and leave. All in all, Spider-Man No Way Home is a film that balances excitement and emotion, nostalgia and novelty. It's a fun, thrilling ride, but it also begins to show its cracks upon further inspection. It works best in the moment, but once the novelty fades, you start to notice its flaws. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Also, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.